Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are going to look at ADHD, but we're going to be completely stripping away the usual stereotypes. We aren't talking about mere distractibility here or, struggling to sit still in a boring meeting. Based on some really extensive medical sources and clinical data, we're going to analyze the hidden, severe realities of ADHD. This is a profound, life-altering condition that operates deep within the brain's executive control networks. And I really want to set a serious, focused tone right from the start, because the data we're going to unpack today, it literally involves matters of life and death.
11 to 13 years, just take a second to let that sink in. According to predictive modeling based on Dr. Russell Barkley's research, this number represents the estimated reduction in life expectancy for individuals with ADD. To put that into perspective for you, this gap is actually greater than the combined effects of heart disease and high blood pressure. It's worse than many forms of cancer. It's an absolutely staggering public health issue, and yet it basically goes entirely unnoticed by most people.
So, you've got to be wondering, why is ADHD a matter of life and death? How does a condition that gets so frequently dismissed as just a focus issue or some kind of academic struggle lead to such a dramatic reduction in lifespan? Well, it's a medical mystery that we're going to solve together today. To do that, we need to pivot entirely away from the idea of attention and instead look at how the brain actually processes survival, time, and consequences.
All right, Section 1, the mechanism, time blindness, and temporal myopia. Let's get into it.
To really understand this, we have to completely remove any shame associated with it. What we're looking at here is a neurobiological deficit. It is not a character flaw. The root of this whole life expectancy gap is essentially a broken internal clock. And it's tied to a concept called temporal myopia. Think of it like a nearsightedness, but about the future. Just as someone with physical myopia can clearly see what's right in front of them, but struggles to make out the horizon, an ADHD brain can easily process the present moment. But distant deadlines, long-term health consequences, future risks, they just feel totally fuzzy and abstract. And this happens because the prefrontal cortex, which is basically the brain's executive control center, shows reduced activity. It makes it nearly impossible for the person to use the future as a motivator for their present actions.
So, in daily life, time perception becomes split into this incredibly rigid binary. It's either now or it's not now. If something isn't happening in the immediate, tangible present, it just gets dumped into this vague, not now category. And in that category, something feels equally distant, whether it's 20 minutes away or 2 whole years away. This completely traps individuals in the present moment, systematically destroying their ability to engage in long-term planning or to accurately gauge risks that might, catch up to them down the road.
And this binary perception of time leads directly to what economists and psychologists call high time preference. Basically, this is the tendency to prioritize immediate rewards over long-term survival. An individual with ADHD might fully, 100% understand the importance of saving money or prioritizing their health. But because the future simply isn't real to their internal clock, the immediate reward, whether that's impulsive spending or maybe a dangerous burst of speed on the highway or grabbing a sugary snack, it wins out. It's a fundamental neurological challenge in delaying gratification, and it directly leads to poor, impulsive life choices.
Now, when you combine that broken internal clock with high time preference, the real-world costs are just devastating. People with ADHD face a 40 to 50% greater risk of accidental physical injuries. They have a 75% greater likelihood of burn injuries. They are literally 3 times as likely to suffer multiple concussions and 23% more likely to be involved in vehicular crashes. This is exactly where those 11 to 13 years of lost life expectancy come from. It's the cumulative daily toll of behavioral risks and impulsive accidents.
But right here is where we absolutely have to clear up a major misconception that Dr. Barkley highlights in his research. People with ADHD are not deficient in safety knowledge. They know how to drive safely. They know how to prevent accidents. The breakdown isn't in knowing what to do, it's in doing what you know. At the exact split second they need to apply that safety knowledge, behavioral disinhibition and time blindness step in, and it prevents them from pausing, accessing that knowledge, and actually executing it.
Okay, so what do we do about it? Solution 1, the neurological shield.
How do we actually close that life expectancy gap? Well, we start with pharmacological intervention. But I want us to look at medication a little differently today. We're not talking about a study enhancer so you can ace a test. It is a literal neurological shield that protects the person by directly regulating the brain's operating system. It increases dopamine in the prefrontal cortex, which effectively reactivates the brain's internal timing circuit. So tasks that used to vanish in an instant suddenly start feeling proportional again.
It enhances what we call directed or top-down attention, giving the person the actual agency to make safe choices. And critically, it reduces indicators of substance abuse by over 30%. It essentially gives the brain the chemical currency it needs to just hit pause and actually look at the future.
And the data proves that this shield actively prevents premature death. It's amazing. When patients are medicated, unintended injuries drop by more than 10%. Serious transport accidents, they drop by more than 50% in males. And traumatic brain injuries see a staggering reduction of over 70%. So we're not just talking about improvements in office productivity. These are literal lives being saved by giving the brain the chemical support it needs to navigate physical space safely.
Which brings us to Solution 2, Behavioral Scaffolding.
Medication is incredibly powerful, absolutely. But as the old saying goes, pills don't teach skills. If the internal clock is broken, we have to build one on the outside. Barkley's core principle points out that because internal working memory fails in ADHD, and that internal monologue, that covert self-speech, just isn't strong enough to control behavior, rules and time must be physically externalized. And they have to be externalized at the exact point of performance, meaning the actual physical place and time where the individual is failing to use what they know. Surrounding yourself with external cues is not a crutch, guys. It is a neurological necessity.
So how do we actually build this scaffolding? Let me walk you through the practical steps. Step 1, identify your breakdown point. Where exactly are you losing time or making unsafe choices? Step 2, externalize time visually. Use a big analog clock, a visual countdown timer, a loud alarm, whatever works. Step 3, place that tool at the exact point of performance. Let's say you lose track of time getting ready in the morning. You don't need a timer in the kitchen, right? You need a waterproof visual timer right inside the shower. If you keep forgetting your medication, it doesn't do any good hidden in a bathroom cabinet. It goes literally right on top of your coffee maker.
Beyond just using timers, we need to be actively automating safety. You really want to reduce the background RAM usage of the ADHD brain. Automate all your bill payments and finances so you aren't relying on a faulty working memory. Use recurring subscriptions for the essentials. Create what we call launch pads right by your exit doors containing your keys, your bag, all your essential items, so you aren't scrambling in a panic and then driving recklessly just to make up for lost time. Oh, and eliminate any broken clocks in your house. Make accurate, real-time visible everywhere you look.
Next up, we introduce a really powerful behavioral hack to overcome activation energy. It's called the 10-minute rule. Task initiation is notoriously difficult with ADHD because of those dopamine deficits. So the rule is super simple. Commit to working on a dreaded or complex task for just 10 minutes. Tell yourself, out loud if you have to, that you are allowed to stop after that. Almost every time, the momentum will carry you forward once you start. You aren't tricking yourself. You're simply lowering that massive barrier to entry so your brain can actually engage.
We also have to manage our expectations to create sustainable, shame-free routines. Barkley has this thing called the 30% rule. It suggests that people with ADHD often show a 30% delay in executive function and self-regulation compared to their neurotypical peers. So, we adjust. Whenever you estimate how long a task will take, just double it. If you think it takes 20 minutes to get ready, plan for 40. Build systematic buffers into your day to account for transitions between tasks. And finally, adopt the absolute golden rule of ADHD memory. Do it now or write it down immediately. There is literally no in-between.
Well, we've covered a tremendous amount of ground today, moving all the way from the severe life expectancy risks of time blindness to the real life-saving realities of neurological shields and behavioral scaffolding. Now, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Understanding all of this, that's only the first step. Taking action in your physical world is the second. So, look around your environment right now. Where is your point of performance breaking down, and how will you build your scaffolding today to protect your time, your safety, and your future?